Hello everyone, welcome to Haxora Academy. In this video, you'll be learning how to interact with your operating system using the command prompts. Now there are two ways you can interact with your system. You can use the graphical user interface, which is known as the GUI, or you can use the command line interface, which is known as the CLI. Now the graphical user interface is this particular interface where you have to click on an item or on an icon to execute a program. In command line interface, you need to type in a command that would be executed by the system and then a response will be given to you. Now on Windows, there are two major types of command line interface. We have the command prompt and then we have the PowerShell. Now, why do we need to make use of the command prompts, and who are the users who are command prompts very useful for? If you are a developer or a DevOps engineer or a cybersecurity engineer, this particular command prompt is what you would be using. Now, one of the benefits of the command prompt is that it helps you execute code faster. You can actually carry out various activities at the same time, and you can execute multiple items at the same time. First of all, let's see what command prompt looks like. Now, if I come to my Windows and I type in my command prompt here, we have this here. This is what my command prompt looks like. Then you can also have PowerShell, which is another type of command line interface. If I come here and then I type in my PowerShell, now this is my PowerShell here. So I have my PowerShell, you see PS here, which is run from this, and then I have my command prompt here, which is your command prompt here. Now these are very good, powerful tools that can help you carry out a lot of activities on your system. If you're a system administrator, you might likely be carrying out various commands on the system using the command prompt or the PowerShell. If you're also a cybersecurity engineer or you're a developer and then you want to interact with an operating system in a cloud platform, you really need to understand what command prompt or PowerShell is. This is a very powerful tool that is going to be very useful for you. Now, what is the difference between your command prompt and the PowerShell? Now, command prompt is the old version of your terminal, which has a lot of command in them. But your PowerShell now have more commands and has a more powerful command that you can use to interact with your operating system. So I'm going to talk a little about the command prompt, and we'll switch to PowerShell. So let's just talk about the command prompt a little. Now, if you see your command prompt here, you'll see this at the top here, which tells you that this is a Microsoft Windows version, and it will tell you other information about the command prompt. Now at this bottom here we have the path. A path is more like your directory where your command is. Now I want you to see this path as a directory. So if I open a directory this way or your folder this way, and then on the C here is more like your C drive here. So if I click on this here, you will see I have on my C drive, which is the same thing as your local disk here. Okay, yeah. So if I move a little step, which is this users, now you see I have another folder. So it's more like my first folder, which is the C drive here, and then I have the second folder, which is the user. So at this particular place here, it's the same thing as you being here. Now if I open this folder, it's more like me opening this particular folder HP inside the user. So this is more like you having your opening from one folder to another folder. Okay, so understanding this or what I'm trying to point out is that this particular line here you have here is the same thing as what you have in your directory. So these are a series of directory. Our C drive here being our root directory, which contain every other folders that are present in your operating system. Then we have the user, which represents the root user here, where we have every user that have account on the system. And then we have the next folder here, which is what we have at the top here. So when you are using this your command prompt, see your command prompt as you being in a folder in your operating system. Okay, now after understanding this, you would understand we have the slash, backward slash here, and we have the backward slash here. This is to tell us that we have our directory. This is what is used to differentiate our directory from one folder to another. Now, how do I differentiate this folder from this folder? We use this directory to actually differentiate the folder from another. Okay. Alright, now let's move to the next one. Now we can move from one folder to another using our command prompt. So if I have this here, I'll assume that I'm in the folder. Now if I want to move from one folder to another, all I need to do is to change my directory. In our Windows, our change directory is used by an alias called cd. So cd means I want to change my directory. Now if I decide that I want to change my directory to the desktop folder, I can say change directory to desktop. Now you see I have switched my directory from where I was before to our desktop folder. If I have another folder in front and then I want to move to that folder, all I need to do is to change my directory also. So if you want to change your directory from one folder to another folder, you use change directory. Now when you're working with your terminal or any command prompt or command line interface, you should understand the syntax of your command prompt. The first word which you have there should be a command, which is cd in this case. Then the next one you have here will now be an argument or a parameter, which in this case is desktop. Now supposing I use desktop cd. Now this is a syntax error. It's not like you're using your normal grammar, because the command is meant to come before your argument or parameter. If I send this here, I'm going to be having an unknown error, which is telling me that the desktop command is not recognized. So for me to be able to run my command successfully, I have to use a known item here, which you can also call keywords. So there are various keywords we'll be looking at. In this case, we've only looked at the keyword that is called cd, which stands for change directory. So I can say change directory to whatever directory I want to, and then it gives me those directory. Now when you're working with your system or when you're working with your command prompt, there are usually different kind of symbols that you would have. For example, if I have the dot symbol, what this means is that I want to move a step backward. Mean from my current directory, I want to move a step backward. So if I press enter here, this will take me a step backward. And then if I say cd / here, this is telling me I want to move a step forward or to the next directory, which is at the top. In this case, one of the directory I have in this particular system that I can move to is the documents. Alright, so if I want to move from one folder, there are some symbols you might be having on your system which will tell you how you can navigate from your system. Okay, now when I say cd dot dot, this is telling me that I want to move a step backward. You'll be wondering why I have the dot symbol here. When I use a dot symbol, what I'm trying to do is telling my system that I'm in a current directory. So a single dot means your current directory, and then dot dot means the directory before the current directory, which in this case, when I use cd dot dot here, it takes me back to the previous directory. Now if I want to move from the current directory to the next directory, I can use cd dot / I can now put my document. This will take me to the next directory called documents in front of me here. So you'll see here I use dot dot here, which takes me backward. Then I use dot / here, which takes me to the document directory here. Now remember I told you that when I have this here, our / here, it means your directory. Now how about if I have my cd with something like this / here without any documents in front here? What I'm trying to tell my system in this case is that I want to move to the root directory, in which case is the C directory. So if I press enter here, you'll see this takes me down to our root directory. So if I use dot dot, it means I want to take a step backward. If I use dot / it means I want to take a step forward. If I use cd / it means I want to go to my root directory. So one of the keywords you need to have in mind is the change directory, which stands for CD. This will help you be able to navigate from one folder to another. Now I'll show you how you can navigate from here to your desktop, and then we'll do the same thing in the same way we do this. We'll do this in also. Okay, so now you understand how to change from one directory to another. So let's see how you can move from the root to your desktop. I'm going to bring your folder at this side here, which would give us a graphical view of how you can do the same thing. Now I want to move, I would assume I'm right here in the root directory, which is the same thing I have here. Now just to be sure that what I have is the same thing as what I have here, I'm going to try to list out my items. So I'm going to do the I have, which stands for directory. This will show me all the present directory that are in my current folder that I am. In this case, you see what I have here is the same thing as what I have in this place here. Alright, now on the graphical user interface, you would want to double click here to open, and then you see your HP and public here. Now in this case, I'm going to do cd users, and then when I try to check the directory I have here, you see what I have in this place is the same thing as what I have here. And I'm going to open this particular folder here, which is the same thing as saying this HP, and there I have. You also see that what I have here is the same thing as what we have here. Now I want to move to the desktop, which is this here, so I can say cd desktop, and then in this place here I want to open my desktop here. Now you see that what I have in this particular desktop here and what I have here is the same thing. So on this graphical user interface you have to click, on this command line interface you have to double click. Now you'll be wondering, what is the difference between, why not just you use this particular one here? Why do I have to use my command prompt here? I'll show you something. Now assuming you are here in the root directory, which in this case I'm going to bring this back here, and then I want to move in the desktop if I'm on the graphical user interface. So I have to select the user, I'll select HP, I'll select desktop before I get here, and then I've actually clicked my different folders about 3 times. Now for my command line terminal, I can just do this directly straight here, slash, and here I go. Now you see with just one command I've been able to get to the desktop without clicking multiple times. Now this is just a little of what your command prompt can do. Thank you very much.